Salute, BookTube. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. If you can believe it, 2026 is already 2 weeks old. Time is flying, but I'm happy to report that all my resolutions have been broken within the first 2 weeks. So I've got that going on for me. But it's also been an encouraging start to the reading year, doing a lot of reading as usual, and yeah, enjoying it very much. I got, I got tagged, but I don't know if this is technically a tag video. It's more of a response type of video. Um, the response was done by Mike at Bibliophile Bookscapes. I'll link his channel and his video of this. The video I should name what the video is about. It's called My Book because it's linked to resolutions. It's called My Bookish Bucket List. Your literary goals for the new year is basically what it's about. So Mike did this. He tagged me, but it's not technically a tag video. It's more of a response video, and you can respond to it if you want. He had mentioned me, so I said I'll give it a try. He had heard about it from another booktube channel by Felix at the Aquarian Librarian. I'll try to link his channel as well in the show notes and the description below. And Mike wasn't sure who actually originated this, but after watching Felix's video, I think it is from another booktube channel from Europe, Maria at Strange Lucidity. And I'll link to her channel as well. I guess it's only fair. But yeah, so the response or the tag video is called My Bookish Bucket List. What are your literary goals for 2026? And basically what you have to do is you have to list your goals. And then once you list the goals, you have to rate them, your likelihood of achieving those goals from a scale of 1 to 10. I guess 1 is difficult or nearly impossible, and 10 is you've already accomplished it. So I've been watching Felix's video. I watched Mike's video. I took a sneak peek at Maria's video. They've got some very ambitious goals. Very ambitious goals. I'm not very ambitious, so I've left my goals a little bit. I don't know, realistic. I guess this is the correct word. I don't want to go too crazy because there's an account. This video is going to go up, and I don't want somebody in December 2026 referring back to this and saying, "Well, what have you done?" So I've kept my goals realistic, and I've tried to keep my goals. I had made an hour-long video just a couple of videos ago at the tail end of 2025, where I mentioned what are my reading plans for 2026. So there'll be a bit of repetition there, but I'll try to keep it not too repetitive. So what I think some of the other channels who did this put like 10 goals, 9 goals, 15 goals. I've limited mine to 5, just to keep it realistic, at least realistic for me. So 5 goals. We can start, I guess, with the list. I've got the list here in my notebook. I think the first goal I want to discuss, and these have to be bookish goals, of course. The first one I want to do, the first goal I have, is to sort of. A lot of booktubers have and commenters have discussed my bookshelf here behind me, this large bookshelf. The books weren't always like this. I've I've worked towards developing this big, large library and creating these shelves. So it's been a long project for me, but you can see that it's getting a bit messy behind me, and that's not good because I'm a big booktube influencer right now, so I need to keep it neat. And it's not very neat. You can see behind me. I'll move a bit. There's books stacked horizontally, and it just doesn't look very aesthetically pleasing, or as aesthetically pleasing as it could be. So I want to clear that. Now, there's a reason why it's kind of messy. It's not just me being lazy and putting whatever book fits in there. What I'm trying to do in these shelves. Oh, and by the way, if you think this book, these shelves are a lot, I've got exactly the same bookshelf, parallel, symmetrical to this one on this side, but you can't see it because I'm filming on that side. Just FYI. But the reason why it does look kind of messy is because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep it subject matter organized by subject matter. And that allows me to retrieve a book that I'm looking for quicker. So that's why you'll see books like we'll take that as an example. They're stacked there because it's a similar subject matter. Same thing over there. I could put them on another shelf, but then I might lose control if I want to retrieve books. So that's the main reason why it's messy. At least that's the excuse I'm giving. And just regulars of my channel might know, but I'll quickly just go through it. I mean, these shelves, the ones at the far end over there, those are sports books. Mostly what you Americans call soccer, what the rest of the world calls football. Mostly that. And then on this shelf here at the bottom two are ancient. And it's mostly ancient Middle East, but it could be ancient anything, really. Greece and Rome, but mostly a lot of Egypt, a lot of Mesopotamia, that kind of thing. Those are again what the West. See, I'm referring to the West because I'm based in the Middle East, in a country called the United Arab Emirates, a small country in the Middle East. But these are what the West calls the medieval period, I guess, or the Middle Ages, I think is more appropriate. And it's appropriate because it was the Europeans themselves called it the Dark Age, but in the Islamic world, it was a golden age. And those books over there are mostly that sort of period, just Middle Ages, Middle East. And then the shelf over here, directly behind me, I'm doing okay. That one right there, those shelves right there are based on the Gulf. Those are books about the United Arab Emirates and the region, mostly the Arabian Peninsula. So that's things like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, of course, and then others. And then those books there are Middle East, but they're Middle East. They're the rest of the Middle East, and they're mostly modern Middle East. So pretty much post World War I going forward. Basically, 20th century and some early 21st century Middle Eastern books. Again, I should at this point just remind viewers that I'm mostly a nonfiction reader. So when I'm talking about history, it's mostly histories, it's mostly nonfiction. I do have a fiction shelf there on this side of my fiction books, but just for illustrative purposes, we're discussing most of these here are nonfiction. And then the last shelf that's set over there, right at the end, those are pretty much everything else. But the main thrust of it, there's some Asian, East Asian, like India and China, but and then there's some travel books. But the majority of them are what I call cultural books or books about popular culture. And yeah, basically, goal number one is to sort of just clear that out. Keep it organized, but then just do something about those books that are just lying flat horizontally, because they're hurting the books that are under them, especially if they're hardcovers with dust jackets. That's goal number one. Actually, I did pull out a couple of books. I didn't want to make this video long, but I picked out a book from each of those shelves just to give you an example of what I'm talking about. We'll start. The first book I got is from this shelf here. That's the modern Middle East stuff, 20th century Middle East. So I just randomly plucked out this book. It's by Gardner Thompson, and it's called Legacy of Empire. The subtitle is Britain, Zionism, and the Creation of Israel. And basically, when I took a look at I still haven't read this book actually. It's a TBR, but the table of contents is really the idea of Zionism. So pretty much the late 19th century into World War I. And then the chapters here go to the 1920s, the 1930s, and then this ends at 1948 when the State of Israel was declared at the United Nations. So this is basically the creation of Israel before the Israeli state was uh, announced or declared. Uh, Again, most of the books, maybe most people know what happened after the wars between Israel and the Arab nations, the Intifada, the Palestinian resistance, all the way to the present day. Still a huge a hotspot in the world. But this, again, it covers pretty much the first half of the 20th century. So that's a good example of the books that I have on that shelf. The next one is my Gulf shelf right over there. I picked out this one. This is by Jan Morris, a famous author, but this is called Sultan in Oman. Sultan in Oman. I hope it's not too much of a glare there, but Jan Morris was once upon a time James Morris, and then he or she became Jan Morris. And Jan Morris was famous. She wrote books about Imperial Britain, and mostly in the Victorian age, the 19th century, the Pax Britannica trilogy. She's written books about Wales, Spain, Venice, Oxford, Manhattan, Sydney, Trieste. Mostly a historian, but then she wrote this book about the Gulf region. Oman, for those of you who don't know, so I live in the United Arab Emirates. It's the neighboring country. It's a country that shares a lot of cultural similarities with the UAE, although it's much more traditional. UAE is very modern. Oman has sort of, they're modern in their thinking, but it's just they've preserved a lot of the heritage. It feels older when you go there. It's a really magical country. I recommend anybody to go there. You can see from the cover. So what Jan Morris does in this small book is she pretty much is discussing the end of an era, the end of an era in the Gulf. This is the end of the Bedouin Arab. You can see him with the cover with the traditional dress. You can see the dagger on his waist. He's got a musket, an old rifle. He's barefoot. The Bedouin Arab, the nomadic Bedouin Arab, pretty much an extinct species since the discovery of oil, since modernity, basically the post-modernity in the Gulf is the post-World War II era. This Oman that Jan Morris is talking about is pretty much dead. So it's almost like a snapshot before oil and modernity changed everything. And then for the shelves here, what I was right there, which I discussed, was Middle Ages, and mostly Middle Ages, Middle East. Although there is the bottom two are ancient. I forgot to take out an ancient book, but this is just as an example. Again, I just plugged this one out randomly. I was saying that in the West, they call it a dark age or a medieval age, but in the Islamic world, it was a golden age. This is a good book that sort of covers both, I guess. This is by Benson Bobrick, and it's called The Caliph's Splendor. The subtitle is Islam and the West in the Golden Age of Baghdad. Nice cover there. I don't know what this picture signifies. I think there's a Charles Martel or Charlemagne, and then the Islamic Caliph, but I'm not too sure. And yeah, this is basically, again, right in that era, medieval or Middle Ages, and this one discusses both the East and the West, and that if there was definitely connections, and there was diplomacy, but there was a lot of war too. The Muslims were invading Europe via Spain. The Europeans pushed them back pretty much at the French border. But yeah, that's basically what this book and that shelf is about. And then the shelf at the far end there, I said it was the sports books. Now, most of them are football, or what you Americans call soccer, but I also have a couple of tennis books. I'm a amateur tennis player. I've always enjoyed playing tennis since I was a young kid. My father got me into tennis. I was pretty good, and then teenage years happened, and then I sort of drifted off. I've recently come back to it, although lately I haven't been playing. But I like tennis. I do enjoy it, and especially in the 90s, early 2000s, that was when I was really into it. So this is an example. I picked out a tennis book. This is the biography of Monica Seles, or the autobiography. The official title is Getting a Grip. on my body, my mind, and myself. Monica Seles, for those of you who aren't tennis aficionados, was a famous tennis player from the 90s. I believe she's originally Yugoslavian. I think she was Serbian, or Hungarian Serbian. Anyway, she later became an American citizen and started playing tennis for the United States under the flag of the United States. And then the subtitle, which is "On My Body, My Mind, and Myself." I think the body part is a bit deserves a little bit of attention, although again it's controversial. You can see, I think I'm not the right person to talk about this, and I still haven't read this book, but I believe, I mean, for anybody in the public eye, especially women, appearance is really important. And female tennis players, they get a lot of what's the word? They're judged a lot by their physical features. So you can see here a young Monica Seles who was quite attractive, but I think that attractiveness, I don't know if the picture really showed well. There's another young Monica Seles. The attractiveness also puts a lot of pressure to stay attractive, or to stay thin, basically, I think is what I'm trying to say. And I think, because it's mentioned in the back, again, I haven't read this, but in the back cover copy, it talks about weight issues. You can see her later in career noticeably heavier, let's just put it that way. And she discusses this, I think she discusses the emotional stress that was involved. The other reason why Monica Seles was famous, and it was one of the reasons that I think it affected her body and affected her health, was Monica Seles, when she was coming up the ranks, she was a child prodigy. She was winning a lot. She was winning Grand Slams, and she was ready to take over to be the number one tennis player in the world. She did reach number one. But what happened was there was a great rivalry. She had a great rival in the 90s with a German tennis player called Steffi Graf. I don't know if there's a picture of Steffi Graf. It's really hard to mention. No, there isn't. I took a quick peek. I didn't see anything. It's hard to mention Monica Seles from the 90s, females 90s tennis, without discussing Steffi Graf, the German tennis player who was her great rival. What happened, Monica Seles was playing in Steffi Graf's native Germany. And you know, when tennis players, they have their match or their game, and then the game ends, they take a water break for a couple of minutes. She was sitting there, and a deranged Steffi Graf fan jumped from the stands, ran onto the court, and stabbed Monica Seles in the back with a knife. And that really destroyed her career. She came back. She did come back, which was, I think it's discussed in this book. She came back, but she was never the same player. She also started having the sort of weight issues, if I can use that term. But she never came back to the top level which her potential had. And actually, Steffi Graf pretty much dominated 90s women's tennis. But yeah, so that's the story. That's again an example of the sports books I was talking about. Looking forward to reading this one sooner rather than later. And then finally, again, I didn't want to add this on this video because I'm getting out of the subject matter, but again, I just thought it would be fun because I've got a lot of new subscribers. I wanted to describe what kind of books I have. So the last one I said was popular culture. This is just an example of a book I found, and I said, okay, why not? Although it's a big thing. It's by J. Randy Taraborelli, and it's Michael Jackson. The subtitle is The Magic, the Madness, the Whole Story. I think I'm going to put this as my thumbnail. Nothing gets the clicks like a Michael Jackson on your thumbnail. I might do that. But I read earlier last year a biography of Elton John. Elton John discussed his friendship with Michael Jackson, or lack thereof. He always used to say Michael Jackson was a very depressed, he was depressing to watch. He was just like a man-child. He was really unhappy. He was always unhappy, and he died young. But he was, of course, I don't think I need to describe to anybody who Michael Jackson is. Even my Gen Alpha, born in the 20 teens nephews know who Michael Jackson is. They've never seen him alive, but they know who he is. But again, it's an example. I don't have too many of these kind of books, but sometimes I pick them up. Regulars of my channel will know I tried to clear those books out. Um, Last year, any books about celebrities, I had just a bunch of them. I wanted to read them and get rid of them because it's not really what I usually read. But then the Michael Jackson one is still TBR. So um, yeah, so that's an example again of that shelf, the sort of popular culture shelf. And then speaking of last year, this is now going to goal number two. My goal number two was what I mentioned, is to clear my TBR. So not just to organize these shelves and see what what can get unhauled or read and unhauled, and just clearing it, but also to try to clear some of my TBR. Now I have a big bunch of books that are TBR, so I'm not gonna complete my read all my TBRs in 2026. That's not gonna be possible. But what I do want to do is certainly clear out some TBRs. And what I want to do with these TBRs is not just read random books and just unhaul them or get rid of them. If I don't like, if I like them, I'll keep them. If I don't like them, I get rid of them. But I don't want to just do it ad hoc or randomly. What I do want to do is try to fit it in with booktube reading events throughout the year. That's the goal. So it's not just random reads and then get rid, or just pick out anything that's a TBR, like some of the books I showed, like the Michael Jackson one or the Monica Seles one. No, I want to match it with booktube events. And that takes me to goals number 3 and 4. Goal number 3 is to participate in reading challenge for 2026, which is Historathon. It's a big booktube event called Historathon, where you're encouraged to read nonfiction history throughout the year. So we've already started in January. Still early days, you can still join in, but it goes on all the way to December, the end of the year. So what I want to do is mix that TBR with the Historathon reading challenge, basically the Historathon reading event on BookTube. So that'll allow me to clear my TBR or some books on my TBR at the same time to participate with BookTube. So that's goal number 3. One thing that I am doing, this is a personal reading project. 2026 is the 250th year anniversary of the United States, the founding of the United States. So what I have decided to do for 2026 is to read a lot of my American history books, or a lot of the TBRs on my American history TBR list, basically. So that actually kills 3 birds with one stone. So I can clear my TBR, which is a goal. I can do my 250th American birthday reading challenge, and I can participate in Historathon. The only issue with doing American history for Historathon, because Historathon is divided into quarters, and the first 2 quarters are the first quarter is from beginning of history to 500 CE, and then quarter 2 is 500 CE to 1500 CE. The problem with that, anybody would know, is American history doesn't really begin, at least modern American history as we know it, doesn't really begin until about 1500. 1492, when Columbus sailed the ocean blue. I think that's what the Americans are taught. But so it really starts in the second half of 2026. So I'm stuck in the first half of 2025 or 2026. I can play around a little bit. There is one exception, of course, to that story about American history really starting after 1500, which reminds you how young America is. But there is one exception, and that's this. And the book I have, which is on the subject, which is the Atlas of Indian Nations, and it's by Anton Truer. Anton Truer is a Native American author and academic who specializes on Indian nations, or on Native American history. I've already started this book in January. It's really, really incredible. It's divided into because it's an atlas. It's divided into geographical sections of America. So the first chapter, which I've already completed, is the Northeast. But look at that art. Sorry, it's a very large book, so really beautiful art. So I've completed the first section, which is Northeast. Now I'm on the second section, which is the Southeast. But then I just wanted to show you the third chapter. I believe it's chapter 3, is about the yes. Oh, sorry, it's chapter 4, the plains. Look at that picture. Look at that with the buffalo. Incredible, incredible. So that's an example of the sort of book, the goal for the 250th anniversary of America, plus the Historathon prompts. That is an example. Another example is the book I'm reading as part of a book club. Jeff, whose channel is called Jeff's Read History. I'll if I remember, I'll try to link to him. He's reading this, The Battle Cry for Freedom by James McPherson. I've already discussed this. This doesn't really fit into the Historathon prompts and the historical chronology, but we're reading this as part of his book club. And this book, Battle Cry of Freedom, is part of the Oxford History of the United States. And so for the second half of 2026, just to fit it into Historathon, I've got other books in the Oxford History of the United States line or series. One of them is what happens before the Civil War. This is by Daniel Walker Howe. It's called What Hath God Wrought, and this is the transformation of America, 1815 to 1848. And then, so if you want to go chronologically, it's this one first, What Hath God Wrought, that is really the beginning of the 19th century. Then you've got Battle Cry of Freedom, which is the Civil War. And then I've got the post-Civil War edition, which is The Republic for Which It Stands. This is by Richard White, and the subtitle is The United States During Reconstruction and the Gilded Age, 1865 to 1896, which brings us almost to the 20th century. So I've got them in a chronological order. That's an example of the sort of reading goals I have. But again, I don't know if it showed. Look how big this is. So this is the one of them. This is the second one, also big. Maybe it doesn't show because it's a paperback. And then that's What Hath God. Those are big, big books. I'm having trouble just lifting them. But again, that's an example of a reading goal I have for my 250th anniversary and for Historathon. 250th anniversary of America reading goal and the Historathon goal. So hopefully I can do it. I know I'm supposed to be rating these goals. I'll probably do that at the end, just to wrap up. There's just one more goal that I have, and that is a goal which BookTube made me do it, which is to get into Russian literature in 2026. I was a bit iffy about doing it because I thought it would be too much reading with all the American history and the other readings. But my friend Angelina at her channel Books Do Things to Me, she didn't give me a choice. She actually bought a book, sent it to me and said, get reading. And that's this book, Russian Magic Tale From Pushkin to Platonov. It's edited by Robert Chandler, who edits and does a lot of the translation. Him and his wife. Yeah, Robert Chandler and Elizabeth Chandler. I don't know why she's not on the cover, but she's in the... Anyway, so this is Folk Tales. I've already started. You can see my bookmark. I've already gotten into it. I'm really enjoying this. It's just a question of what am I going to do later? Am I going to continue this? And based on this book, I'm already sort of hooked on the Russian literature. So I need to think. I want to read more Russian literature in 2026. I don't want to go too far ahead of myself. I'm going to take this 1 month at a time. I need to decide, because we're almost in the middle of January, what I want to read for February. And I think I'm leaning towards this. It's Mikhail Bulgakov's The Master and Margarita. This edition, I don't know, I found it in a bookshop, used bookshop here where I live. I don't know if it's the best cover, but it's the one I found. So I grabbed it. And did you see who the translator is? Yeah, translated by Richard Peviar and Larissa Volkhonsky, translated into English. So I think I'm going to go into this in January. I know this is much more modern Russian. I'm a bit OCD. I wanted to go in chronological order, start with the grades from the 19th century and move to the 20th century, but I'm just gonna do this randomly and see how it goes. But this comes well recommended. I've heard a couple of booktubers talk a lot about this. I want to shout out a special booktuber. If I remember, I'll link him below. It's Jeff at Reading Still Matters. He made a video about this book, just singing its praises and saying you have to read it. So I might do this for February. Those are the goal for my Russian lit goal. But yeah, that's basically, I should wrap this up again, half an hour. I was hoping this would be a 10-minute video, but I went and did a little bit of a bookshelf tour, so that added to it. But we'll quickly just rate the goals, because you have to put it on a scale from 1 to 10. So for the goal of just clearing and organizing this whole mess you see behind me, I'll give that a strong life. I'll give that a 9 out of 10. I should be able to do that throughout the year. I might need to do a bit of dusting, but I think that's achievable. Goal number 2 was clear my TBR. Again, clear my TBR. I'm going to put that /historathon. That I think I can do. Now I have the big American history books that I showed. Those are piles of possibilities. I don't think I can do all of them within a year, but I'd like to get to at least a good chunk of them. So that one, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Goal number 3 is linked. It's the 250th year anniversary of America. Just read as much American history as possible. That one, as much as possible. I think that's doable. I don't think I can do all of them, but I can do a fair amount, and again, clear my TBRs. The goals are sort of, because I try to link the goals and make it one big overall goal, or even lessen them, but I'll give that one a 6 out of 10. And then the Russian literature, that's the goal I'm I'm not sure about. I'm taking it month by month, slowly, because I know there's these big American history books, big history books, and then a lot of the Russian classics are also big breaks of books. So I'm not sure if I can do both, but I've started in January. I've already got a inkling for February. We'll see. Come back to me in a couple of months, and we'll see. This goal, I'll be a bit safe. I'll say 5 out of 10. I'm still iffy about it, so 5 is a good middle diplomatic answer. But yeah, so that was the I don't want to call it the tag. I'll call it my bookish bucket list response video. Thank you to Mike at Bibliophile Bookscape for mentioning me or tagging me. I really appreciate it. I'll link the others who have participated in this, who originated this response video. Again, because it's not technically a tag, I'm not going to tag specific people. But if you're a booktuber, you're watching this, and you want to do this, you should watch Mike. Mike is much more, my video is all over the place. If you really want to understand it, watch Mike's video and you'll see how to do this response video. You want to do it, by all means, feel free. Even if you're not a booktuber, in the comments, please let me know. If you want to write your literary goals, feel free. I'd love to hear about it, and I'll try to respond. Also, in the comments, if this is not what you recommend for me to start or to continue my Russian reading, literature reading, if there's anything else you can recommend, please put it in the comments. I love to hear them. I love to read them. But yeah, again, another long video. My apologies. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Salute, BookTube.